Afternoon, I'm Max Brantley with the Arkansas Times. It's Wednesday, April the 20th. Well, I guess the big news of the day is that Obamacare lives in Arkansas. Let's call it Asa. This is the Obamacare-funded Medicaid expansion. There had been some hard resistance from a small minority of Republican legislators to continuing the program in Arkansas, but it looks like they've worked things out. As I'm taping this, I expect the Senate to be approving compromise language that will appropriate money to continue the Medicaid expansion in Arkansas and thus cover 267,000 people with health insurance. They're going to do this by an artifice. It's going to include a measure ending Obamacare in Arkansas, but the governor's going to veto that part of the bill, and all will be well. Bart Hester, who had led the charge against continuing this thing, finally folded. He said remarkably to David Ramsey of our staff that, well, he finally realized that the only option was to shut down the entire Medicaid budget, and that would be unacceptable. Of course it would have been, and that's ultimately why it seems to me he simply should have voted to continue the program, but he's going to get a cover vote in the process. We think this is because a lot of major campaign contributors to Hester went to him and said, you better get right on this, bud, if you want to get ahead in the future. They say he wants to run for Congress someday if Steve Womack seeks another office, perhaps governor. John L. Hunt particularly was said to be influential after Hester made some unkind remarks about spending more money on highways. She runs a big trucking company. They'd like better highways. In Little Rock, the buzz continues about the Hutchinson administration's decision to replace, terminate, not renew, fire, you choose the euphemism, Baker Kurrus, who's done a remarkable job as superintendent of the Little Rock School District. The governor and Johnny Key try to say that this is because it was time for an academic leader. Baker Kurrus has proven himself as an academic leader. Test scores are on the move upward. Principals are getting better. Teachers are getting better. They want somebody who's more in keeping with their thinking, I believe. There's no doubt that Kurrus's resistance to unlimited expansion of charter schools in Little Rock made him persona non grata with the Hutchinson administration, and that underlies the decision to change him. Also, he continued to have a good relationship with Little Rock Teachers Union, although it had been dramatically reduced in power as a result of a new contract. There's going to be a rally Saturday at noon at the Capitol to ask for Little Rock to get its schools back and preferably to get Baker Kurrus back. I don't think that's going to happen. His successor, Michael Poore, has both critics and fans in Bentonville. Some people think he's been a good school man. Their school scores and graduation rates declined over the last year. He doesn't necessarily have a record that demonstrates why he's better for Little Rock than somebody else. He's never worked in a school district that's had any significant enrollment of black students. That's a factor that has to be contended with in Little Rock. Elsewhere on the state government scene, Governor Asa Hutchinson is thrown in with Senator Jason Rapert, and he's going to ask the federal government, for permission to no longer reimburse women for emergency contraceptives. Yes, that's right. The governor of Arkansas and a senator of the state of Arkansas think rape victims, for example, who'd like to take a Plan B pill after they've been raped, shouldn't get the government to pay for that pill. They can pay for it themselves. These pills, by the way, are not abortions, as Jason Rapert wants you to believe. They prevent pregnancy from occurring. They don't kill babies, to use Jason Rapert's crazy term, but Arkansas is going to do everything it can to stamp out a full range of medical services for women. That's who's in charge now in Arkansas. More education news. A fabulous series of articles in the San Jose Mercury says that a giant online charter school operation in California has been a failure. Bad results, some cheating involved in some of their procedures apparently. The news there is it's operated by K-12, a private corporation that's made a fortune out of running online charter schools, and yes, they do so in Arkansas too. Johnny Key, the education commissioner, was responsible for a little piece of legislative trickery that allowed the online charter operation in Arkansas to expand to 5,000 students. They qualify for up to $30 million a year in state money to essentially provide a little assistance to homeschool students. They don't have to operate buildings, gyms, cafeterias, school buses, sports teams, or any of the other things regular public schools do, but they get the same amount of money for their so-called students. Something worth reading online. Michael Warwick, a Little Rock sculptor, is going to have his mockingbird tree, 18-foot tall steel and bronze sculpture, installed on Chenal Parkway tomorrow morning. It's part of an ongoing effort by Little Rock to have more public sculpture around the city, and I say more aesthetic things are always a good thing. And finally, someday in the future, it's not exactly clear when, there's going to be a different face in your wallet if you're rich enough to have a $20 bill. The U.S. Treasury said Harriet Tubman, the former slave, abolitionist, undercover operator, soldier, giant Civil War figure, is going to go on the $20 bill in place of Andrew Jackson. Alexander Hamilton's going to keep his own place in the currency. And that's the news today. I'm Max Brantley.
You feel it in your heart, the spirit of Little Rock. We've had that spirit since 1927, helping build our city by producing decades of leaders in the heart of our state. We are the heart of business and innovation, the heart of politics and government, the heart of arts and culture, and in our city beats the heart of a Trojan. UALR, we are Little Rock's team and Little Rock's University.